Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are not subscribers, then simply welcome to the channel. Long time no see. As you probably already know, I'm going to go ahead and review the Our Legacy Camion boots. You probably know that from the title. But yeah, I've been working on a lot of short form content lately. Follow me on Instagram as well as TikTok if you want to keep up with that. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and dive right into it. So like I just said, I'm going to go ahead and review the Our Legacy Camion boots. I've actually had these on all day actually. And part of the reason why it took a little bit longer for me to review these is because I wanted to kind of wear test these and like wear them out and just kind of walk around in them and actually use them before I just said, oh, they're really great or oh, they're really terrible or whatever. But let's go ahead and start the review off with the review of the materials the boot's made of. I'll go ahead and take one off actually. This bad boy right here. So yeah, overall thoroughly impressed with the boot at the price point. It's a pretty nice boot, I would say overall. The material as far as the upper is 100% calf skin leather, which means it's from like a younger cow. It's super soft. Dead baby cow boots, but yeah, super sad dead baby cows, but super soft leather. Smells amazing. I don't know if you guys smell your leather when you get it. I definitely do. I love the smell of them. Definitely like something that'll break in a little bit faster. I'm gonna get to that in just a second, but if you're not used to like a softer leather and you see like a lot of creases and wrinkles, I would not say that's like a sign of bad quality. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. The lining on the inside is also made of calf leather, and the inside has like a little cushion inside of it. I think it's like some sort of foam. However, you cannot remove the midsole, or you can, but it is glued down. I believe the footbed is a wood material. It's made of some sort of wood. Again, hard to tell when you can't really remove the footbed or the like the insole. There's a Vibram outsole on the outermost, like the bottom, the outermost layer, but on the inside of the boot, as you can tell, I've been wearing these boots, there's a little dirt on the bottom. But yeah, then on the second layer, there seems to be like a wood block. And then the inner layer closest to where your foot is going to be resting is actually another piece of wood. So it's multi-layered. That is something that I see in shoes a lot, honestly, at like a higher price point. Usually it's just wood, all wood, or maybe it's leather and wood, or sometimes just leather. The Vibram soles I've had in my military combat boots, like when I was actually in the army, I've had 2 pairs and they're each like 5 years old. And there's like there's signs of wear. I'm not gonna say there's no signs of wear, but it's almost like they didn't really get worn, honestly. Like they're super tough. So these things are probably gonna last a very long time. Not to mention at the bottom, it's constructed with the 3 nails in the bottom. That just means it's been stuck in place with something other than just like glue instead of just being glued down. Another thing about the Vibram sole is that the Vibram sole is usually something that people attach afterwards, or like at least they put like a rubber grip type of sole on the shoe after they buy the shoe. They'll have to like sand like a wooden sole down and then like rough up the texture, apply some glue, and then put like these little rubber like sections on the shoe. A lot of people do that with like the Margiela Tabbies and some of like the Eddie Slimane, Wyatt, Chelsea boots. They went ahead and just skipped all that, and they were just like, hey, let's just put a Vibram sole on it. Which actually, the more I think about it, makes sense, honestly. Last but not least, for the materials, there's this little tiny piece of metal on the shoe on the upper part, like close to where your ankle is. And that's just honestly just like a little metal like piercing detail that says Our Legacy. Not sure what metal it is because they don't specify online, but I believe it to be like some sort of nickel if you care about that. And then I think I said last but not least, but I will go ahead and go over the zipper real quick, which is a YKK zipper, I believe. However, the branding of the zipper, I can see it embossed, but it's on the inside of the shoe. I really can't tell exactly what it is. I'll try and get some B-roll, but it's pretty dark in there. But it's just a pretty smooth zip, honestly. I wouldn't say anything bad about it. Let's go ahead and move on to another area of the boot I want to talk about, which is the break-in time. The break-in time, I hear that it's non-existent from some people. I wouldn't say that. I don't think there's any shoe that has no break-in time at all. I think break-in time you can describe as like, at what point is it comfortable to wear, as if you have worn it so many times it just molded to your foot or something. That's my definition. But if you're going off that definition, I would say that it has a break-in time about maybe like 2-3 days max. Very brief break-in time. I have some Sabago loafers that took like 4 to 5 months, 4.5, 5 months to break in. And most leather shoes you're gonna have to break in. It does take a while, but it is worth it once you actually get that broken in. So whether it's a loafer or a boot, broken in leather shoes are usually very comfortable at that point. This pair of shoes, like this is probably like my sixth, seventh, eighth pair of leather shoes. Not even in my lifetime, just like in recent purchases, like in the last 5-6 years. And I would definitely say that these have the shortest breaking time out of all my shoes. Everything else about the construction and the overall look of the shoe, I really enjoy. People have told me that it has, or people haven't told me, but I've seen online that the dye job sometimes uneven on the leather, like there's gaps in the coloration of the leather, where the footbed and the upper kind of meet. But I really don't see that in this pair. Maybe it just depends on what exact pair you have and what year they came out. Maybe they improved that. But honestly, the construction is pretty solid with the Blake stitch and the nail construction on the heel. I'm not a super expert at like boots or anything. I do want to become a better or more knowledgeable boot guy, but for now it seems like everything's checking out, like ticking the box. Keep in mind these are expensive, but they're not like the top of the line, so there are going to be things that you're not going to necessarily get, and that sucks to say because they are like 5 something, almost 6, depending on where you're buying from. The prices will definitely rise up, sad to say. So if you don't have them now, I would go ahead and grab them if you do want them. But yeah, I would say that you're not going to get Brunello Cucinelli, but you will get a pretty solid boot. Let me take this other boot off because why do I have on one boot? So there are a few like qualms I have, like a few things that I may not necessarily be 100% satisfied with, but that's not really a long list at all. So let's go ahead and go over some pros and cons of this boot. Pros, I would say, include the versatility of the boot. You can pretty much wear this with, I wouldn't say anything, like there's no shoe that you can wear with literally anything, but there's a wide variety of things you can wear with this boot. I feel comfortable wearing these with like a suit if I were to wear a suit or whatever, for whatever reason. And I would also feel comfortable wearing these with like slacks and something like I have on right now, which isn't a suit, but it's like a tad bit dressy. It's in between formal and casual. And then going all the way formal, like I said, the suit is fine, but you can also go all the way casual with just a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. It's kind of like heritage adjacent and it's kind of like formal adjacent, but the way the shape and the silhouette reads, it kind of just feels like you can dabble in between both. If you really want to go formal and you just have to have that formal attire, then maybe this isn't the boot for that type of thing. But most of us don't necessarily have to wear a suit every day, and if we do, then on the weekends we kind of want something that's good looking, something we can wear out, but not necessarily like wingtips or something like that. This is definitely the boot for that type of person, or just a person who wants to wear casual clothing with boots. I'm wearing them a lot with like denim and slacks and stuff like that myself, but you can go ahead and just do whatever the hell you want as long as it looks good. If you figure out a way to break the rules like a professional, go ahead and break those rules as long as you do it classy. Another thing is that for your money, I think you're getting a pretty good product. Again, the versatility is like key. The versatility is something that like I would look for when I'm buying something, not on a budget, because these definitely aren't like a budget purchase. But if you're buying something with the intention of like getting all your money's worth out of it and not just having like that one statement piece, I definitely feel like something like the Our Legacy Camion boot will fit that bill. And so that's something I'll definitely look for. But the overall silhouette of the boot, like I kind of joked in a reel one time where I said it had like the waistline of a Chelsea boot and then the nose of an engineer boot. So it kind of gives you like that Western sort of feel a little bit with the square toe, but it also gives you a little bit more of that like Chelsea, like Saint Laurent boot. Outside of that, the leather feels very premium. The materials make sense and the construction makes sense. When I say it makes sense, like earlier when I was talking about the construction of the shoe and the outsole and all that stuff, the fact they added like a Vibram sole, because most people end up adding something like that anyway to a boot for grip or for durability, so it doesn't destroy the bottom of the shoe. You can always remove that. These, you can't really remove the Vibram sole, or you can, I guess, but I don't think it would look that great. I think they're fine how they are. Again, you're not going to get like Loro Piana or like some sort of crazy up there, or you're not really going to get the Row, but I feel like these are close enough to something of that quality. to where you can kind of feel like happy, even though you may feel guilty spending, you know, 600 or 700 up on boot, or five or and up on a boot. I wouldn't feel as guilty about this purchase because of all the things I mentioned as the pros. Like I said, feels very premium, like something like a Margiela would use. Like the shoe itself comes in at the same price point as like a Gat or something like that. I definitely feel like it's a good comparison to compare these to like the low top Gats. If I had to pick out some cons, everything has a con. I don't believe that there's anything that's 100% positive, but honestly, the cons list isn't very long. I would say the cons maybe would include like there like are tiny glimpses of like an unfinished edge. I wish that the edges were rounded and smoothed out and like stitched down around like where the ankle is. That's not a huge thing, but I feel like when I pay over $300 for something, I've kind of start expecting a lot from the quality. Nowadays, the prices of luxury goods are going up, but I don't agree that that makes sense or anything. I feel like, you know, $500, you should always get a very good quality product for 500 and up, for sure. These are great quality, but like I just kind of want to see like all those tiny little details added. There's something simple about these, which is my second like con. There's something simple about these that it's good, but there's also something simple that's like like I don't know. I wish they maybe would have added like a detail. I'm looking at them on the ground right now, which is why I keep looking down. But yeah, I'll pick one up. Although the leather is aging beautifully, and I will say that it's aging very beautifully, I will say like I kind of want something else to be done to these. I don't really know what, and that's what's bugging me, but I kind of want something else to be done, like to kind of signal that like luxury or high fashion look. But I don't know if these are positioned or marketed as that high end stuff like a Gucci or a Tom Ford adjacent type product or whatever. But other than that, honestly, the list isn't super long for the cons. It's a pretty short list. That's pretty much the only two things I can say at this price point and with this type of, you know, boot, this type of shoe that I could really point out that I didn't like. If you really want to be nitpicky, and I don't think it's the boots problem, I think it's more me. If you really want to be nitpicky, I'd say it gets like kind of difficult to walk in like a heeled boot if you're not used to a heel. I don't know if anyone else feels uncomfortable, but maybe both men and women alike kind of don't like the heel as far as the way it feels, but it does kind of add like an elevated look to a shoe to have a heel. I don't know why that is, but it does look and feel that way. It is kind of uncomfortable. It does kind of take some getting used to, but for the most part, you can get past that. Now let's talk about price. For the price, like I said, I think you're getting a good product, but it is coming in around like $572 shipped. I got it off of Essence. If you get them from the Our Legacy site, you might pay a little bit more. Understitch did a great video about like the Essence pricing system and like the sort of controversy or issue with Essence. I'm not going to get into that because he already did such a great one. I'll link that video in the description. But I definitely think that even though you're going to save a little bit of money with Essence, it's not really going to save you a ton. I've seen these go for $620. It's the exact same boot. And then I've seen them go for like $5 something. So I don't know. I'd always definitely save the money if I can. Overall, you know, is it worth it to cop these boots? I definitely feel like if you are a man and you dress masculinely, and if you have that like dressier side to your wardrobe, these would fit. But also if you have that like Americana sort of look, I definitely even feel like a Japanese Americana would pair well with this, like that type of style. If you have that type of style and you do enjoy versatility and you're trying to get something that has kind of like the best of both worlds, like a casual and a higher end look, I definitely feel like these will be worth it. Overall, I would say that it's one of my favorite purchases of late. Honestly, of the last 5 or 6 years, it's probably been like up there as far as my favorite purchases. It's kind of a tall order for some people, but if you can swing the money, I would say get these. And honestly, I would just say wear them. I think the more a boot is like beat a little bit, the more beautiful it looks. I wouldn't go crazy. Like I'm not gonna go galoshing in these or like running through the mud at all, but I definitely would wear them around the city. Last thing to consider as far as like are they worth it is these are not like a go work on a farm type of boot. It's very much so like a city boy boot. It's definitely like a walk around town sort of boot, and you may get away with doing like a little bit more of a more outdoorsy type of thing, or like a little bit more of a rough trek or whatever. These may be fine, but I definitely don't think that these are going to hold up to like the specs and the standards and the, I guess, the expectation of some of the more rugged boots. These are not Danners. These are not like the OG old school Red Wings. They're not for that type of thing. They're for fashion, but they just happen to be durable because they're well made. But just don't try to like expect too much out of these. All that being said, I hope you guys liked the video. I'm sorry I haven't been posting the YouTube videos as consistently. Thank you so very much for being a subscriber if you are a subscriber, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys want me to review next, or if you guys want me to go grab something a little bit more obscure and kind of tell you the details about it. I do want to plan a couple more videos out for the future, so stay tuned for that. I have a few lined up. Outside of that, again, follow me on Instagram, TikTok. It's Bobby A. Green with 3 E's, pretty much on everything. I don't get on Twitter though, so I'm not on there. Or I'm on there, but like you're not gonna find my account more than likely. So yeah, you guys have a great one, and thank you for watching.